it's Mary. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So, I am currently reading Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. You can see all my little bookmarks and tabs. While I am finishing that up, we are going to talk about the book The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. And if you remember when I chose what I'm reading in May, I pulled a book that I had already read, The Queen of Nothing, from the to be read chart. So we decided what we would do is that I would pull another book, but I would also do a review of The Queen of Nothing, and that is what we're doing today. So The Queen of Nothing is by Holly Black, and it is the third book in the Folk of the Air series. The previous books in this series are The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King. If you've not started this series yet, I will just mention that it took me until pretty far into The Cruel Prince to really get into the series. So if you start the series and you're not sure about it, I would suggest continuing at least through the end of The Cruel Prince to get a feel for what the series is going to be like. I'll also mention at this point that I generally finish all the books I start just so I don't wonder about them. So the series follows three sisters, Vivian, Taryn, and Jude, and especially Jude. As a child, Jude's parents were murdered by Maddox from the Court of Fairy, and all three sisters were taken to live with him there. Being a human in the fairy world is difficult, and we see these difficulties through the eyes of Taryn and Jude as they experience life in the kingdom of Elfhame. What they would like most of all is to be accepted by the fairies. Fairies are beautiful and they live forever. But fairies are cruel, and especially cruel to humans. Most cruel as far as Jude is concerned is Prince Cardan. By this, the third book, Cardan has exiled Jude, who deeply feels his betrayal. Jude is living in the mortal world with her sister Vivian and Maddox's young son Oak. Jude hopes to see Oak ascend to king of Elfhame one day. When Jude learns that Taryn's life is in danger, she must venture back into the treacherous fairy court and confront her lingering feelings for Cardan if she wishes to save her sister. When a curse is unleashed, panic spreads through the land, forcing Jude to choose between her ambition and her humanity. What are other books to read for a similar experience? A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Nesta has always been proud, quick to anger, and slow to forgive. Since being forced to become High Fae against her will, she has struggled to find a place for herself in the deadly world she inhabits. Cassian is a battle-scarred warrior whose position in court keeps him constantly in Nesta's orbit. He's also the person who most ignites Nesta's temper. A dangerous alliance formed by treacherous human queens threatens the peace that has settled over the realms. The key to stopping them might just rely on Cassian and Nesta facing their haunted pasts. A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Cursed by a powerful enchantress to repeat the autumn of his 18th year, Prince Ren thought he could easily be saved if a girl fell for him. That was before he turned into a vicious beast bent on destruction. Before he destroyed his castle, his family, and every ounce of hope. Because nothing has ever been easy for Harper, she learned to be tough to survive. When she tries to save a stranger on the streets of Washington, D.C., she is pulled into a magical world. Harper doesn't know where she is or what to believe. As she spends time with Ren, she begins to realize what is at stake. And as Ren realizes that Harper is not just another girl to charm, his hope returns. But powerful forces are standing against his kingdom. And it will take more than a broken curse to save Harper Wren and his people from ruin. Lament by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the first book in the Book of Fairies series. 16-year-old Deidre Monahan is about to find out that she can see fairies. She finds herself infatuated with Luke, a mysterious boy who enters her life out of thin air. But his interest in her may be darker than a summer flame. When a sinister fairy shows up with deadly orders from the Fairy Queen, Dee and her friend James find themselves in the midst of fairy. Dee had been hoping her summers would not be so dull, but taking on a Fairy Queen is not what she had in mind. And there we are. I'll be back later in the week with Chain of Iron. And until then, I hope that you enjoy whatever you choose to read. And thank you.